Yeah, yeah, whoopin' ends. We back with another one for the youths in them. Yeah, young, brilliant minds, future in sight. Got the power to make change, make the world ignite. Let nobody say you can't achieve your dreams are seeds. Someone just watch them grow. But you gotta believe in the youth effect. We're raising up the youth effect. Can't hold us down. The youth effect, we breaking ground, the youth effect. They gonna hear us roar. Educate, we get the key, unlock the potential. A lesson every day, knowledge essential. Standing tall, walking proud, let your voice be heard. Unite together as one, spread the love with every word. The youth effect, we're raising up, the youth effect. Can't hold us down. The youth effect, we breaking ground, the youth effect. They gonna hear us roar. Educate, we get the key, unlock the potential. A lesson every day, knowledge essential. Standing tall, walking proud, let your voice be heard. Unite together as one, spread the love with every word. The youth effect, we're raising up, the youth effect. Can't hold us down. The youth effect, we breaking ground, the youth effect. They gonna hear us roar. Create, initiate, push through, no limits. Go ahead and live it up. Respect, positivity, you on your way. Break down walls, build bridges. Yeah.
Break down walls, build bridges. And this is something that we're all about on the Youth Effect. Thank you so much for joining us today on the Youth Effect. My name is Kathy Robinson Sayan. I will be your host tonight. And this is episode 6 of season 2. It's another Monday, and I would like to say thank you so much for spending another hour and a half of your precious time with us on the Youth Effect. Wherever you are looking at us on TDN network platforms, whether it's on Instagram, Facebook, or YouTube, or you're looking at us through my Facebook Live, which is Kathy Robinson Beta Live on Facebook, or you're looking at us as well or listening on SBE Radio Canada and Roku at Vibe Streams. So thank you so much. You can also contact the Youth Effect at the Youth Effect 767 at gmail.com, or you can contact me at 929 803 6356 for any comments, feedback, or suggestions you may have for episodes for the day, for the week, or for the month, or whenever. All right. So please, thank you. Thank you again. Remember, this is a conversation, and I look forward to your comments and your feedback and everything that you have to offer, because it takes all of us. The Youth Effect also, as we say, is a conduit for expression and living fully, and providing also skills and the voice for, with, and by our youth. It's also, as we say in our song, to bridge the gap between generations, to be able to understand each other and reduce stigmas and stereotypes, to create a more holistic and harmonious society where all of us can live together in understanding and building the future, not the future, the present, because now is all we have. It's now. And that's what we want for our children and for our youth and for you. While some of us are celebrating this holidays, for some it's joyous holidays, regardless of what you are celebrating, be it Christmas, Kwanzaa, Hanukkah, or some other thing, or just life, which is extremely important. There are some of us or some others who are not in the celebrating mood. Either they are down and out because of the holidays itself, or whether they're going through some life transitions or life or traumas or grieving. During this period of time, I want to recognize those who, around this period of time, who have lost loved ones, be it recently or maybe a while now, but they are going through all the grieving again because their loved one is no longer with them at this period of the year. where there is so much emphasis placed on expectations and joyous and giving and receiving of gifts. And this is one of the things that we'll be talking and focusing about. And I'll give you the topic in a minute. But I would just like to also, in this context, just give a moment of silence to a very close family friend who passed away, Jesse Badwill. And we just give a few seconds of acknowledgement in his honor, in his giving thanks for his soul and his spirit. He was a very good spirit, a very good soul. So let's just give a minute, a few moments in to honor Jesse. Thank you so much. Hi, Joseph. It's been a while. Thank you so much for tuning in. Thanks for being our first person to give. You learned a lot, and this is what we are about, sharing and learning from each other. So thank you so much for joining in. Um, yes. So our topic tonight is holiday triggers. Holiday triggers, the myth of perfect holidays, mental health, and young minds. Only you know that sometimes, not sometimes, this season is a lot of emphasis about giving and receiving and family time and celebration and doing video window shopping, but a lot of emphasis is also placed on commercialization of this season. And there are lots of people who are alone and have nobody to spend the time with. And because of the social constructs around Christmas, especially, and these celebrations, there is a of loss of sight on what the celebration is really about. As I say, depend on what it is that you celebrate, whether you're celebrating the birth of Christ or other religions that you're celebrating. We should be mindful as well of those who don't have and place less emphasis on receiving as opposed to giving, whether it's be giving of our time and volunteering or going out in the countryside and doing something for an elderly. There are a lot of people who are by themselves. I remember during core, we were courting back in 92, courting, and that was a great experience. And I remember this song, It Only Takes a Spark, because it was really a deep experience. And one of the activities was going out in the community where we were based at the time. We were in Marigot, and visiting the elderly. And there was this lady. She was probably close to 100. She was living alone, and it was so filthy. But living alone with a whole community around her. So she lived with along many people. And this is not only reality or physical, it is also symbolic, because a lot of us are surrounded by so many people every day, whether we live in metropolitan places or large cities or isolated countrysides or small suburbs or wherever. We interact with people and we can go out in public spaces with so many people around us, but yet we are so lonely. There's a difference between being alone and being lonely. And that's one of the things I would like to emphasize. And we will speak about it much more in other programs, because there are so many of our young people who are very lonely. And some of us adults as well, we experience a level of loneliness around this part of the year, be it triggers from traumas or family tension or conflict or pressure to attend events or meet expectations, grief and loss, as we mentioned earlier, or just loneliness or from isolation, So, as we said, as I mentioned earlier, the holidays can be really a mixed bag, especially a lot for young people. And we don't see a lot of it. Well, I cannot say that we don't see a lot of it. Sometimes it's not, it's a level of awareness. And sometimes when we're more aware of things, we see it more often. But in the US and other places, there is so much people who are unhoused, which is the politically correct name for it now, but in short, homelessness. There's a lot of homelessness. There's a lot of people. There are a lot of people living in shelters. There are a lot of people who haven't got the comfort of a home or Christmas trees or the kind of celebration that some of us take for granted. All right. So while some of us look forward to having cozy gatherings and festive cheer, there are a lot of people who face anxiety, stress, and feelings of isolation. There's also the pressure to create the perfect holidays, often clashes with the reality, triggering mental health challenges like depression, anxiety, and loneliness. And other things too, there we see a lot of suicidal ideations being enacted out, during this period, especially in the parts of the world where we have time changes, you know. So it gets darker earlier and we have longer periods of darkness. And this in itself can cause a lot of fatigue and lethargy and, people just feeling more isolated because you wake up in darkness, you go to work in darkness, you come back in darkness. I mean, no light is a form of vitamin D and bring a lot of energy to us and our daily lives. So that also impacts mental health for the young people. And social media also adds to the pressure because there are a lot of quote unquote influencers on social media idealizing celebrations that really don't reflect real life, and we know that. And for young people dealing with family conflicts or loss or instability, there is a gap between the expectation and reality. That gap can be extremely, extremely overwhelming. And tonight we will be exploring more on that topic. And we'll be speaking to a child and youth care practitioner. And when she comes, she'll be coming in at 8:30 and 8:30 my time. I'm not sure where you are, what time it is in your time. And will be speaking and having a conversation with regards to that. But before we go on, I would like also to explain what we mean by mixed bag. Because, I mentioned the feelings. It can be a mixed bag for young people. What exactly am I referring to when I speak to mixed bag? It's mixed bag is an expression for those of us who are literature experts, idiomatic expressions and idiom, and it's something that has both positive and negative aspects because it's a combination of good and bad things. Good and bad. Yeah, so it creates a lot of confusion, can be chaotic, a lot of dissonance within our being. In the context of the holidays, it means the holidays can be a time of joy and celebration, which I mentioned earlier, but also, stress and sadness. Um, so while you might enjoy spending time with family, there are sometimes you really don't want to see those family. There are families that can be really toxic, and really add a lot of financial pressure in terms of giving gifts. You need to give an expensive gift because you're going to receive, you're going to meet these relatives that are going to give you expensive gifts, or they are putting up this presentation of they're really expensive people and they expect expensive things. Sometimes it's just a facade. Okay. How does that relate to, it's okay to not go to functions if they're going to be toxic to you and your mental health. It's okay to say no. It's okay to withdraw yourself. It's okay to set boundaries. And there are times we don't choose our families, but we have a choice to create the life that we want to live. Let's say I have my life mantra. I have a few which I made up. And for me, it's living deliberately in terms of creating the life that I want, living the life, enjoying the life that I live, and living and enjoying the life I live and living the life I enjoy. So it's all about creating my life as it is for the present, not tomorrow, or say after I do this. You cannot wait until you achieve things. It cannot be after you do this, after I get that degree, after I get that job. It has to be now, fully in presence, enjoying your children. And that's one of the main things that we need to teach the children. Presence today is important. Today. And there's so much in giving, and giving from what you have, not giving from what you don't have, or getting loans, putting a financial burden on you. Go on Pinterest, create something, give a little handcraft gift, make a card. It's fine. It comes from the heart. You know what they say is the thought that counts. And if there is anybody you're going to give a gift that's from your heart, within the little things that you have, and it's not appreciated, then you need to let go that person. That person is not supposed to be in your circle. And sometimes letting go is hard, but you have to do it for yourself, and you have to do it for your mental health. Okay. So I just wanted to share that before we bring in our guests. And remember also, a lot of it is focused on our kids. This is all about the young people. Ask them how it is that they're feeling. Allow this to be a time of bonding, a time of giving from your heart. One of the things that will be important is also learning your children and learning what they would appreciate. And that part of it is, what are the gifts? What is your children's love gift? Hmm? There's gift of their giving, receiving gifts, touch. There are seven of them, and for some reason it has evaded me right now, but I'll get it for you by the end of the session, you know, and get to know your child, talk to them, have a conversation. Sometimes it's difficult because that wasn't how I grew up, but it's about learning new things. It's about learning new things, because if you don't teach your children or be there for them and present, they're going to learn from somebody else. And their thing might be learning the wrong things. Okay? We have to be our children's first. Good evening. Good evening, listening from New York. Thank you, Rosalind, for tuning in. Thank you so much. Thank you so, so, so much. For you to be joining in. I look forward to um, your comments, because I know you're also a poet and everything else. Dominica Passe again. Thank you. Thank you so much. And share the link with your friends and ask them to come in. All right. For those of you who don't have natural birth children, parenting is not only about giving birth, it's about who you are to the children in your circle, who you are to the people that come around you. There are some people that have never given natural birth that are better parents than those who have given natural birth. My daughter has something saying there are some people who should never be parents because they do not want their children. And you may be upset with me saying that, but hey, remember, this platform is about only being real and raw. That's what we are. We are real, we are raw, and we say it as it is. All right. I believe in authenticity and being myself. And I appreciate you being there, because I'm direct and I'm blunt and I say it as it is. That's just me. I'll tell you one thing today, and I do my very best to be diplomatic. Oh my God, it's such a struggle. But every day is a point in learning. I have two daughters who are much more diplomatic than me. I think they need to be on the calmer side because I am. I can be a little bit wild. So I'm learning diplomacy from them, which is what I advocate here for our children and the and our youth to be our mentors because they are so wise beyond compare. So just take some time to know your children, to understand them, to understand what their love language is. And then when you give things of yourself, it'll be even more appreciated by them. Okay. So let me see if my guest is in there. Let me just read for you who will be having on tonight. She is also have parentage, Dominican parentage, and her name is Joelle Ellie. Joelle is a child and youth care practitioner for over 25 years. She's been in that field. Okay. She experienced working with neurodivergent, social emotional, and mental health clientele. I will allow her when she comes in to explain to you what those terms mean. All right. She is the CEO and founder of Minds in Motion Wellness and Consultation, and she is based in Toronto, Canada. You can follow Joelle on Instagram at Minds in Motion, on TikTok at Minds in Motion, and she will also be launching her own program called Minds in Motion on TDN Network. And she will be doing so every Wednesday from 7 p.m. Eastern Time, beginning in January 2026. She will be offering some free consultation as well as giving practical strategies and solutions to parents and educators. Now, remember, caregivers, you are the first educators. So don't say you're not an educator because you're not a teacher. You're teaching your children life skills, you're teaching them ABC. You are your children's first educators. Do we have Joel in the house? Let me see if Joel is in the house. Okay, she's not yet there. So you all got me for a minute. What are your thoughts, those of you who are honest? Let us know where you are at, where you're watching from, whether it's Instagram, YouTube, Facebook. Um, did I say Instagram? Yeah, I said Facebook, I said IG, Roku, or SBE Radio Canada. All right, let us know. Remember, what are some of the things? Tell us what are some of the things that you will be doing for the holidays? What is part of yourself that you will be giving? What is something that you'll be sacrificing? Are you donating clothes from your cupboard that you don't use? Are you giving a child um, a little scholarship, even though it's $50 a semester for their books? What is it that you are planning to do differently? And some of us are planning to do things. We say New Year's resolution, every day should be a new year because every day brings change. Be the change that you want to see. Okay. And without much ado, we're going to welcome Miss Joelle Ellie in the studio with us. She's right here. Hi, Joelle.
Hi, good evening.
I can't see you. Hi, where is Sam?
I'm
Oh,
right here.
here she is.
How are
Hello.
you? Nice to see you. Finally get to see you face to face.
Yes, we've been talking.
Mhm.
You are such a beauty.
Oh, thank you.
Thanks for
Thank
being
you.
here with us tonight. I appreciate you giving off um your special time. And as we said, our guests are looking at you on the youth effect. So tell us a little bit more about yourself.
Okay, well, thank you for having me, Kathy, on your show. I'm so excited to be on the Youth Effect because I know the effects that it has on the youth, and it's very, very vital that you have these conversations. Um, my name again is Jewel Eli. I am a child and youth practitioner of 25 years. I work in the Toronto area. I've been working in the field of child and youth work services um, in that particular area for approximately 23 years of my life. And I mainly work with students that have behavioral concerns. Some of them, many of them have mental health concerns. So that's where the neurodiversion comes out. Some of them are on the spectrum. They have ASD, so autism spectrum disorder. I do work in the school system, and it's all every day is a different mixed bag of tricks almost that I have to deal with. So that it's been interesting for the years that I've been in the field.
Lovely.
Mhm.
Well, this is also my passion too. So it's really good networking with you, and hopefully we'll work like this,
Together,
coming
yes,
out together in future. Um, yeah, because collaboration is so important
for sure.
when we're dealing with young people, because everybody brings something to the table, and
Absolutely.
we're looking at how we can be of value in helping the children, adolescents, and the youth reach their full potential,
Right.
right?
Hmm.
And so, thank you once again for
Yeah.
accepting. But could you explain a little bit what is the term neurodivergent? Because this, though it's not a new term, but it's coming out more, and a lot of people may not know what it means. So,
Hmm.
could you explain a
So
little bit, please?
neurodiversion is just basically an intersection of different learning abilities or different abilities. So, neurodiversion can refer to someone that has a learning disability. So, instead of saying an LD, they might say neurodiversion. They learn differently. Someone that has autism is also neurodivergent, and maybe someone that has ADHD as well. So, it's just the way that the person's brain receives and outputs information essentially.
Okay, and could you break down what ADHD
So
is?
ADHD is attention deficit hyperactive disorder. So there are two. Sometimes you might hear people say ADD, and ADD is attention deficit disorder. So it's the inability to focus on a task for sometimes people can't focus on a task for more than 10 minutes, and they have an inattention to doing that. And then they have the hyperactivity where they're maybe impulsive and they're walking around. So that's where the hyperactive comes in, right? So it's a little bit different.
Yeah, and I ask that because a lot of times in the Caribbean, especially with Caribbean parents, no, I'm not throwing any fear for anybody. You know what fear
Mhm.
means, right?
Yes.
Okay. Um, I'm not showing I know offense meant,
Mhm.
but like to tell children, be still and be quiet. Don't move. It is so up contrary to who a
Yeah.
child is, because a lot of children learn through play,
Right.
and that is what they're supposed to be,
Mhm.
playful.
Mhm.
And that is when we're in tune with who our children are as well, we can know how to keep them occupied and the learning style in terms for them to excel
Right.
in whatever area they are. Um,
Right.
so that was just a by the way to give a background to our
Mhm.
listeners what the
Mhm.
difference is in neurodivergent, what is ADHD. When children are fidgety and they kind of sit still, do not hit them, do not punish
Yes.
them for who they are as a person, as a child, but learn to understand what is going on with the children in terms of helping them to manage this and build coping skills around these behaviors so
That's
that
right.
they can be successful children. A lot of times too, we talk about successful in terms of academic areas, but
Mm-hmm.
children, especially autistic children, correct me if I'm wrong,
Mm-hmm.
autism manifests itself in a lot of genius in other ways, doesn't
Oh,
it?
absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And so we need to acknowledge that. But
Mm-hmm.
I've spoken quite a bit. Go ahead.
No, no, no. I'm saying you're right. You're absolutely right. I do also encourage parents when I work with different parents. Sometimes they're afraid of labeling their child with ADHD, and sometimes it's good to get the medical diagnosis so we know what's going on, to rule things out so we know it's not ASD. So ASD we say for autism spectrum disorder.
Mhm.
So it's best to go to the doctor, get a diagnosis so we know what kind of support that child would need in the school setting. As you said, sometimes the child may not be able to sit and they're rambunctious. It doesn't mean that they're not good learners. It just means that they may have to learn in a different way. And you may have to adopt your way of teaching as well, or relating to that child, because they learn differently, right?
Mhm.
And they
And all that,
receive information differently. Hmm.
definitely. And all that is in light of breaking the stigma about going to professionals for help, because
Absolutely.
we are afraid of asking. We are people who are ashamed of asking for help, but nothing is wrong in asking for help, especially
Hmm.
in the interest of your child.
For sure.
Which brings us to the little segue, the interest of the child in this environment of celebration.
Hmm.
What do you think about the holidays?
So, as I mentioned at the top, when I introduced myself, I work in the school setting, and something very strange happens every time there's a break in the um,
Mm-hmm.
um, school regular days that we have. So it's within the last few weeks of school, I noticed different behaviors. So there was a lot of a spike in children visiting the office, getting in trouble, just constantly being out of school. Just, I think unconsciously, they're thinking about the fact that there's a break coming. And they're not going to be around the familiar faces that they have around them, the support networks that they have at school. So already they're dealing with separation in their own way without saying, I don't want to leave.
Right.
On the last day of school, we had a few students who would be deemed the most troublesome in the school that didn't want to leave the school the last
Mm-hmm.
day,
Right.
and they just lingered. It becomes a scary thing for many students, and it
Mm-hmm.
depends on the type of household that they may be coming from.
Right.
Um, if there's a lack of support, if there's a lack of togetherness in the home, unity, then that child may not want to be home for 2 weeks. Our students over in Canada, I don't know how long it is in other places, but we're off for 2 weeks. And two
Mm-hmm.
weeks, and in that time, so much could happen for a young person, right? So, yeah.
Sorry, I know I'm making a lot of noise here.
That's
I'm just
okay.
adjusting my computer.
That's
I apologize for that. Uh,
Mhm.
yeah, and not only that, we do have also a lot.
I'm not hearing you. I'm Kathy, we're not hearing you.
I'm sorry.
Okay, there you
I have a high tech mic, and I still from the old generation. So
Yeah.
I was saying, in light of what you just said, we have a lot of people, a lot of children in in the system here in school that who live in shelters, and
Yes.
it may not be a reality for a lot of people in the Caribbean, because they don't. There's a lot of times we do not relate to people who have nothing to eat, because you
Mhm.
see, how can you be hungry in Dominica,
Mhm.
in the Caribbean? There's so much provisions, there's so much stuff,
Mhm.
but there are people who are hungry. There are people who
Right.
go without. And
Yeah.
here it was when I moved up here, it was a shock for me to
Mhm.
know that there are young children who have to take care of their siblings before they come to school
Yep.
because their parents are working two, three jobs and they're not home in the night.
Yep.
There are children who leave home without something to eat because, and that's why the feeding program is so important. There are
Mm-hmm.
children who live in these shelters, and school is so important to them. And
Right.
the bonding that you spoke of and the relationships, because
Mm-hmm.
in the shelters, they only allow them to be there in the night. During the day, they have
Right.
to find somewhere
We
to
got
be. So
right.
in this time of the holidays, and especially in those countries where it's cold, what do they do? So
Mm-hmm.
we're talking about they're hearing children saying they're going to visit family, they're going to visit friends, they're getting Nikes for Christmas, they're getting all these things. What
Mm-hmm.
other things do you think are triggers for these young people?
Absolutely. So the environment that I work, the school that I work in, is in a lower income community, and all the things you spoke of affect the children that I work with. Poverty, one single parent home. They're dealing with there's violence, there's gun violence, there's all types of things happening in the community that I work in, and these realities are very much realities and scary for many of the students that come to that school. So um, on the last day of school, I did speak to the students about just a phone number that we have called the Kids Help Phone Line. It may be the same in the States, but it might be just a different number. But a
We have
Kids Help
988
Phone.
here.
Right, 988. So we also have 988, and we also
Mhm.
have the kids' help phone number. And that's a number. I just wanted to just put it out there to the students or to children in general that um, if you feel that you're going through something and there isn't any adults around, there's no one to speak to about what you're going through, just get on the phone, find a phone, and speak to someone on the other end that will help you to walk you through whatever you're going through, right? Because suicide is also a big thing, even for young people today. A few years back, I worked with one student. At the age of 10, he was suicidal, you
Why
know.
is that? What was one of the
So,
major triggers that's caused that?
so in investigating with that particular student, he would come to school and literally tried to jump from the top level of the school, like, inside to the lower level, and then he would be saying things like, I want to kill myself. And he was also of Caribbean descent, and he became one of the cases that I was working with and investigating and speaking with his mom and gaining her trust. She was able to share with me that when she was 16, as a teenager, she herself was suicidal. So she became a single mom uh, through the years, and maybe when she was having him, she was going through a stressful time, and that transferred on to the child. And even so, he also sees her in a state of depression, and that can be transferred onto your child as well. If you're not well, it's hard for you to take care of your children as well. So mental health and wellness are very important, to take care of yourself 1st. Hmm.
Definitely, I am so in agreement with you. Um, Especially that point. I really like to emphasize on that point. Children trans emotions,
Hmm.
mental health can be genetics, it can be passed
Hmm.
on
Hmm.
through generations, but a lot of it is transferred in the womb. So if
Right.
you're going through a toxic relationship, if you are
Hmm.
depressed, if you are, as you said, suicidal, that transfers into the womb because
Right.
emotions transfer to physical illnesses.
Right.
Why wouldn't it transfer mental and physical and emotionally within the womb itself? Because if it transfers through illness, manifests in
Hmm.
illnesses, and it's physical, the child
Hmm.
within our womb is physical
Yeah.
as well as emotional and mental and
Hmm.
psychological. It will affect the children.
Yeah.
And that is one of the things we have to enforce self care in doing prenatal and a lot of prenatal care and mental health,
Right.
because children do grapple onto these things.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so that being one of the triggers during the holidays, what other things when you talk about, we see a lot of family conflicts and financial stress, loneliness, even academic pressure because it's the end of the term
Right.
and children are getting their reports for the term.
Mm-hmm.
What is your viewpoint on these issues or triggers?
So for me, I tend to, when I meet with students, just kind of just debrief with them how they're feeling about different pressures that they may be under, just to get them to free their mind, to think of happy places. Sometimes you have to get your mindset out of the negative thoughts and just think happy thoughts, right? Um, if they know that they're struggling, to give them the confidence to teach them how to ask for help. Because sometimes, they don't want to ask for help in front of their classmates. So I would just encourage them to meet with their teacher after class. You know, Sometimes you don't want to put your hand up. You don't want people to think you don't know the answer, and you may not know the answer, and that's okay.
Mhm.
We don't
Yeah,
know all the answers,
right.
but in order to get that help, to seek the teacher after the class for the academic pressures, at least.
Mm-hmm.
Um, there are many other things that they can do. I do encourage them to take walks, take breaks. You don't always have to focus on your work.
Mm-hmm.
Take breaks, especially during this time. Walk away from the work, go and get some fresh air. Listen to music, listen to your favorite type of music, watch a television show, or dance, sing, do something that you like to do, right? Just take a break. I find that in North America, it's different from living in the Caribbean, and we just go 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 go. It's constant for us over here, and no matter how we try to explain to people, it's different. We don't have the luxury of having the extended family sometimes to support us, you
Mm-hmm.
know, and we have to find alternative ways to make ourselves happy and to cope with the stresses that we have. So,
A viewer asked, what made you go into this interesting field?
yeah. So, as a child, you know what? It's funny question. I actually wanted to go into law, and I myself, I I feel that I have a math learning disability, never diagnosed, but I diagnosed myself as having a learning disability in math. And that is something that I needed to get into law, and I just never pursued it. And I decided, I'm going to do something in a field where I can still help people, where I can speak to people. I think my strong suit is speaking to people. Um, so I can speak to people and just guide them in the right path, right? I myself have a lot of traumas that I've been through and life experiences that I've experienced, and I feel like I can share that with other people and let them know that if I can make it through, you can make it through.
Definitely, definitely. Some people might say, "Oh, it's easier said than done." Let me see what Mrs. McLean has said. The traditional learning system that we all were trained in is not actually the best learning environment for most children. We have forgotten the freedom, natural spirit of children. In these times of presence, we need to bring back the education orders. Oh, I just love this, Rosalind. Yes, yes, you are an author, and I look forward for
Ah,
20 to 8 years. Okay, so Rosalind, will you please message me or DM me about this? Because we're doing a book club with regards to children, so this might be one of the things that we like to feature. All right, so
mhm.
thank you so much for your input on that. Great, great value added. Um,
Yes.
what would you like to say to I'm glad that you gave some examples of what the children can do. Because a lot of times we say there are lots of things that they can do, but we don't say the tools or actually tell them what to do.
Mm-hmm.
So, what do you suggest for the parents and the adults now who are listening in
Yeah.
to provide that level of support and
Mm-hmm.
and safety net
Mm-hmm.
for our children or the adolescents and our young people?
Yeah. Sometimes I feel like people think that they have no means of communication with their children. I find that these days a lot of children retreat to their own kind of spaces and they don't communicate as much as they used to. But we have to remember the generation that we come from. We're a talking generation, we're a communicating generation. So we have to remember that we need to communicate with our young people, and know how they're feeling. To just say, how was your day today? Something I encourage not only parents but educators as well is to check in and to say, how are you today? And when you ask them, how are you today? Be prepared for their answer. Their answer can be loaded, right? It can be loaded with things that they were just waiting to offload and just hoping that you would ask them how they are today, right? Um, they can be dealing with pressures of school. They can be dealing with pressures of bullying at school. They can be bullied by their teachers as well, right? We don't
Yeah,
know what's happening at school unless we check
right,
in with our
right,
kids, right?
yes.
So there's many strategies that we can use. I was trying to get into the point to say that we don't need money per se to help us come up with resources or have resources, right? We can teach our children breathing techniques where they're just breathing, deep breathing in and out. We can teach them the figure eight method. So it's just drawing the number eight on a paper and then having them breathe in and out just as they do the figure eight, or the square breathing. So they're doing up, breathe in, breathe out, same thing, right? There's different methods that they can choose to do those techniques with their children, right?
Yes, lovely.
Mhm.
Because one of the things I'm emphasizing more on this season, or the last Monday in the month, I'm doing movement Mondays. I actually started it last season. And one of the things, I'm a mindfulness practitioner, and we do
Mhm.
breathing and everything in terms of
Right.
social emotional learning, which you yourself are familiar with.
Yeah.
And that is one of the things I have note down for us to do on one of our movement Mondays in terms of teaching um, our adults how to relax, how to
Mhm.
create a safety net for their children, how
Mhm.
to reduce levels of toxicity. Because if a child doesn't feel safe, they're not going
Mhm.
to come to you. You
Right.
mentioned communication. A lot of us do. We have to be taught how to communicate. You
Right.
mentioned checking in. How
Mhm.
are you today? Is not you good? We don't want to ask
Mhm.
closed questions. We want to ask open-ended questions so
Right.
that the children can allow them to be expressive.
Right.
And when they're speaking, allow yourself to be in active listening mode.
That's
Keep
right.
your mouth. If you have to put a close spec on your mouth,
That's
I
right.
have a yeah, I have a picture with um an adult lady with a padlock on her lips, and it's right above my desk, you know,
Yeah.
because one of the things I think I mentioned, and there's another quarter for my children's tin, because every time I mention them, I have to give them a quarter.
Mhm.
Um, I had to learn that because every time my daughter would say, "Mommy, you're too quick. Listen." And then there was this little thing going around, "Listen, Linda, listen." If this little boy telling his mother
Yes,
that.
listen, Linda.
Yes, so they
Yes.
used to tell me, "Listen,
Yeah.
Linda, listen."
Right.
And that stays at the back of my head all the
Yeah.
time in terms, and then being also a life coach, I have to
Mhm.
learn to put myself in active listening. And this is one of the things also we want to pass on to our adults who are listening in on these programs, because
Mhm.
coping skills are not only for the children, but it's also
Right.
for the adults to be able to tap into these children, into allowing them to be reach their full potential. You
Right.
know, Young said the privilege of a lifetime is being your full potential, right? To becoming
Right.
who you're supposed to be really are. And that is what we are advocating here.
Mhm.
Um, and in terms of what we said about checking in and open, active listening, it's also about being non-dismissive. Oh, you will be okay.
Right. Right.
That you cannot understand. That is being very dismissive, and
Yeah.
being dismissive relates transfers as rejection. You're not
Mhm.
hearing me, you're not seeing me. And
Right.
that drives the children to now go to their peers,
Right.
right?
Right. Um, yeah, we have to be prepared. So if we're going to ask that question, we need to genuinely be prepared to sit and listen to our children, because we're their first educators, right?
Right.
I'm not a
Hmm.
parent, but I do educate students. But we are, as adults, we are our children's first educators. But we ourselves also, we will learn from our children if we listen. We don't
Yes.
know everything. They're
Hmm.
in a different era than we are, and they're learning things from either whether they're from their peers or from social media or from their teachers. They are learning things that we may not know. So we also have to just take a sit, just a step back and just say, all right, go ahead. It's your turn. I'm listening, you know?
And a way to help them in doing that is take a pen, take
Hmm.
a book, and this is the mic. Whoever has the mic has the floor, and everybody else has to be quiet. We do that in
Right.
restorative circles
Right.
as well. So it's just take a deep breath and listen. Don't listen with the intention to having a reply.
Right.
Don't give a reply. Tune in and actually hear, not just
Hmm.
listen, hear what the children are saying.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that is also a part of building trust, as we go on, because trust is so
Hmm.
very important. But
Hmm.
when we're talking about trust, let's go into the myth, part of what our topic is, the myth of perfect holidays. How do you see that in light of the amount of time the young people spend on social media, as well as the social construct around the holidays?
So sorry, you froze for a second as you started to, how much time they spend on something.
Okay, sorry. Technology again.
Yes, it froze for a
Sorry.
second on my end. I
Okay.
don't know if it was on your end.
Yeah, maybe, yeah, it's through the airwaves. I was asking with regards to the myth of perfect holidays. What is your take on that? Because the social construct around the Christmas season or this time of year, it
Yeah.
has to be perfect. It has to be perfect to family. It has to be perfect in receiving. It has to be perfect in giving.
Yeah.
And we know the children from as young as 8, they have their social platforms that they
Right.
frequent and are
Right.
influenced by, as well as what the peers say in school. Now, sometimes some of the peers, it probably is not true, but they have to give an
Mhm.
impression, they have to keep an
Right.
image.
Right.
So, what do you suggest, or what is your opinion about this perfect holidays ideology?
Hmm. Well, there is no perfect holiday. Even people that we assume that have the best lifestyles, they may not be having the perfect holidays either.
Mhm.
Um, I would just encourage parents to be connected with your children. Be connected with whether they're your children that are 8 years old or your children that are 14 or 21 years old. Be connected with them. There's many things that you can do together as a family. Just having those conversations, as I said. I remember coming home every day after school, and it was, how was your day today? And it was sitting at the dinner table, and we didn't have those devices. So it was a time for us to have that dialogue. But I think nowadays, because we have these devices, the children just want to be on these devices. I'm not saying that they cannot be on the device, but there should be a time limit to
Right.
those devices. And then there's family time. I think there should be a time to have family time and um, to do things together. For example, you can find an old fashioned puzzle, get an old puzzle, and
Right.
do that puzzle together. It could be 100 pieces, it could be 1,000 pieces, and you kind of you make it your goal to say, okay, we're gonna finish this before the week is done. Work on
Right.
that together. It could be something as simple as um, you're designing something. So maybe with a piece of paper, you're going to draw a picture, and maybe the other person is going to draw another piece of the picture, and then you share what you've come up with together. It's just about gathering, about being together in the same space, and just being mindful of the time that you spend together, right?
Mhm.
Um, I'm kind of thinking back to when I was younger. You know, it was a time where you had to communicate through words. It wasn't through the device. Um, so just bringing back that old school kind of like communication amongst families, I think that's most important.
Maybe to,
Yeah, to
sorry.
going out. So going out and also taking advantage of being outside together.
Mm-hmm.
Someone mentioned old school teaching and going outdoors. We
Right.
don't have the luxury of that in North America per se. We have most of our time is winter and it's cold, but there are opportunities to go outside and do winter activities as well.
Mm-hmm.
Just plan something. Not everything takes money again. Some people think, I don't have any money. I can't do these things with my children. There's many things that you can do to discover, even your environment, your community, things
Yes.
that you may not know that are there.
There are a lot of community centers, the YMCA, and other places that even in the cities, some of the cities offer a lot of free activities. There are a lot of things that you can go see that's
Yeah.
free. So it's just a matter of tapping into it and looking at it, you
Hmm.
know. And because of this, the holiday, it creates a lot of pressure. But we have to, as you mentioned, let's normalize being messy. It's okay. Let's normalize imperfect holidays. It's okay. That's more real. That's more relatable. And
Hmm.
then we can transfer that to when they see things on social media as well. It doesn't impact them so much, but it comes
Yeah.
into the bonding and the quality time that you're speaking about. What are some signs do you believe that holiday stress is getting too much to the youth, the young people?
Some signs might be okay. A sign that, and it may not just happen during the holidays. So a child that's spending a lot of time in their room, a
Mm-hmm.
child that's spending a lot of time on their device, maybe they're texting.
Mm-hmm.
You have to know who your child is communicating with as well and what they're doing on
Right.
that
Right.
device. A
Mm-hmm.
lot of times I speak to children that are too young to be playing certain video games. They're
Mm-hmm.
playing those games because, oh, they asked their parents, oh, I asked my parents and they bought it. And the parents don't always check to see, is it parental guidance? Is it rated R? You know,
Right.
they need to also tap into those things. Know who your children are communicating with. Know
Mm-hmm.
if you say, okay, my child is asking to go on a sleepover. This is something that I was just talking to my mother about. I don't, like I said, I don't have children, but having my nieces and nephews go over to someone's house and sleep over can be a problem, right? You don't know what's happening in that household. You don't,
Mm-hmm.
they're there, sorry, and they're interacting with a whole different family with a different set of value systems,
Yeah.
right? That may be influencing your child.
Right.
So having a sleepover may not necessarily be the best option, but
Mm-hmm.
maybe if they go for the day or a couple hours, that
Mm-hmm.
might be a little bit different, right? Um, so yeah, there's just be aware of what your kids are doing. Um, in Canada here, there's been a lot of disappearing young people, especially young Black boys. They've been disappearing, and you know, it that comes with, I think, the child um, seeking out older people, maybe to bond with, maybe, or someone that might be able to give them easy cash. I'm kind of not switching the topic, but staying on topic, but being aware of what your children are doing is what I'm trying to say. It's so simple, so easy in a blink of an eye that your child can just be caught up in a different world, if you're not paying attention to them, right?
It is in line with the topic, because if we have to put it in perspective, this is the gift giving and the receiving of all kind of gifts, and listening to what their friends are going
Mm-hmm.
to receive, whether it's true or not. It puts them in competition mode, or in terms of being out of it, because at
Right.
that we know at that age a sense of belonging is extremely critical
Yeah.
to adolescents in particular.
Mm-hmm.
And so, yes, we know people who are out there grooming and just waiting for an opportunity to grasp onto these children, because they want a Nike, they want this, they want that, they want
Yeah.
brand names,
Yeah.
and comes down to the values of the core family.
Right.
And sometimes you believe you're instilling good qualities or values into your child, but so at that age, their peer pressure is more
Mm-hmm.
influential.
Mm-hmm.
And building the level of trust that we spoke of earlier is so, so critical. I mean, you come down about building bonds and playing games and stuff. Being in still keeping within the topic, it's the holidays will be a good time to start. Now is always a good time to start
Right.
and to learn. We're not too old to learn. We have a thing saying, there is a thing that goes, you can't teach old dog new tricks,
New
but dogs
tricks.
can learn new tricks.
Yes.
We can learn for the interest of our children if we put our minds to it, just one step at a time. We know
Mhm.
we have so many other resources exposed to us. We have YouTube, we
Yeah.
have our apps on our phones. We just have to look
Mhm.
for it because it is there. The
Yeah.
resources are there. Or call someone who
Mhm.
you look up to, who have parented great kids, who have done
Right.
a great job in parenting.
Mm.
So spend some time playing some small games in bonding, and make use of the time that the children will be home. For you, it's 2 weeks. I believe
Mhm.
in also in the Caribbean, it's 2 weeks. And
Okay.
let me go back to a point Rosalind made with
Mhm.
regards to the education system. I totally agree with Rosalind. I never liked really the British system. I'm sorry. Because it's focusing so much on a whole bunch of information that the children, and as you mentioned about ADHD and neurodivergence, sometimes it's just too much information for
Too
someone to be
much.
able to think. When we leave, you have to, for you to do CXC or stuff like that, or A levels, you have to remember 4 years of work. You have to
Mhm.
remember 2 years of work to do an exam to get an A. Too
Yeah.
much pressure. It's a lot of pressure. And for the first term, okay, it's
Mhm.
3 months. They'll have to
Yeah.
remember 3 months of work. But when it comes down to the end of the year in June, expect a child to remember what they did in first term. I mean, come on.
Yeah.
So I believe also that places a lot of stress on students, and the emphasis that is placed on honor rolls and
Yes.
children who get honors. I'm in this group where one of the ladies was saying she got a bicycle to donate to children, and she was asking which for a child to be recommended who has done academically well. And I sent a private message to her. I said, what about the child who takes care of their siblings? What
Mhm.
about the child who moved from a 50 to a 70? It's not
Mhm.
about the child that is making 95 or 100 all the time.
Right.
A child who has moved from a 60 to an 80, that's a bigger
Huge
achievement.
gain. Yeah.
A
It's a huge
child
gain.
who normal, who is a 40 and struggle to get a 60, to me that child needs to be celebrated.
Right. Absolutely.
Celebrated, because that
Mhm.
is that is their capacity, that's their level of
Yeah.
competence within themselves. And
Mhm.
if we have to build confidence, we have to reward
Yeah.
the behavior.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
I agree.
this season brings a lot of that down and feeling of rejection and hopelessness,
Mm-hmm.
together with the dark, and keep staying indoors. You mentioned going out, you know.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. And like I was driving home this evening, I was out doing some shopping for the season, and driving home, I realized it's only 5:30 and it's pitch dark outside. It's pitch dark in Canada. Well, where I live in Canada, it's pitch dark, and that alone, there's an acronym, SAD, and I don't remember exactly what it stands for, but in the winter, it is a real diagnosis where people become very sad. And they go into a sense of depression and sadness and loneliness. And this is why people tend to want a vacation in the winter. They need that sunlight, they need that vitamin D to rejuvenate, right? So, some of us can't afford it, and that's okay. But that's why we need to go outside and get some of that air and the sunlight while we have it, right? Um, I just wanted to go back to the point you were making about, the academic piece, and the fact that I'm a big believer that school is not for everyone. School is not for everyone.
Totally
And
agree.
there's going to be the academics, and there's going to be the scholars who do really, really well. But then there's also the students who tend to want to go into the trades.
Right.
And we need people in the trades. And
That's
so
right.
our parents need to get out of the mindset that only their children are only going to go into the medical field or only going to become teachers or whatever it is that's
Lawyers and
lawyers,
doctors and
right?
the mainstream
We
things.
need the carpenters, we need the plumbers, we need the electricians, we need the tech people, right? So we need to remember all of those things that are important, to build and to grow our young people. It's not just our thoughts, we need to also incorporate their thoughts and things that make them a holistic person, right?
Mhm. Yes, and someone is making a comment to what you're speaking about sleeping over is definitely so, because we do not know what kind of, as you say, environment they're being exposed to.
Mm-hmm.
And it could be something that is totally traumatic and destructive to our children. So
Yes.
we have to look at that. Rosalind makes a comment again, the grounding starts in the home, definitely. If there are no values in the home, they look outside for validation, definitely.
Yeah.
And sometimes the parents have, hi Eston, thank you for being on. Thank you so much. It would be remiss of me not to mention that there are families who do not know how to instill values because of the traumatic environment they themselves was raised up in.
Yeah.
And how do we flip the script for them and the
Yeah.
children?
Yeah. So it's all about building relationship, and this is something that I encourage teachers to do all the time. Build that relationship with the parent. If you cannot tap into that parent, you have lost 95% of your children, students wise, because the parent, as I said before, is the first teacher, and child most likely, more than likely, will agree with what their parent says because they believe their parent is right, right? So if we cannot tap into the parent, we're going to be having a difficult time to tap into the child. And this is happening right now as we speak with many of the students that I work with. One in particular that I have in mind, her mother is so against it, uh, academics, period. And anything the school says, she's negative about because she had a negative experience with school
Mm-hmm.
and she grew up in the system herself. And when I say the system, I mean the
Mm-hmm.
foster system.
Mm-hmm.
Her mom passed away. Her mom and sister died when she was really young, and has no faith in what the school system has to offer or the social system has to offer. So it can be difficult, but sometimes we can win people over. And my job is to help to win these parents over so we can do the best that we can for these families. Yeah.
That's a great point. And then sometimes there are parents you never see. And sometimes it's only one set you see because
Mhm.
these parents are busy, especially single family homes.
Yeah.
They are busy working two, three jobs to provide for their children. So they
Hmm.
really say, I do not have the time.
Yeah.
How do I make the time? So it's about balance and being creative in how we can reach these parents because
Yeah.
sometimes too they feel embarrassed because they do not know how to be different
Hmm.
and to where they are. And we're gonna hold from that. I was just thinking in my mind, um, how time flies when you're having
Yes.
fun. The conversation is so interesting that I
Yeah.
say, okay, Sam is gonna kill me. So we're gonna stop for a break and listen to a short the ad from our sponsors. Stay
Okay.
tuned, we'll be right back.
Presented by
Running a radio station shouldn't be chaos. It should be simple, smart, and professional. With Joan Premium, your entire week schedule is beautifully organized and easy to manage. Real-time accuracy keeps your listeners in sync with every show. Your visitors and audience sees the right schedule every time, wherever they are. They can even choose different time zones. From analytics to social media and native app integration, Joan Premium is the professional tool your station deserves. You're never alone. We provide priority support for active license users. We're building a community. Connect with broadcasters worldwide through our Joan Community Hubs. Choose your plan, annual flexibility, or lifetime freedom. Get Joan Premium today. www.gndenterprisesinc.com or call 877-698-9894 for more information.
Welcome back.
Yes.
So we have 15 minutes. Oh my God, this time is
Flying.
flying. Thank you
Uh,
so much. Um, thank you for the encouragement. Yes, the world has gotten too busy. We are busy,
yeah.
busy, 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 bees, and
Yeah.
then busy doing nothing because we lose the essence of what life is really about,
Hmm.
right?
Hmm.
Um, I would like to ask you to touch on something for me where it comes to toxic families and
Hmm.
families like that the children are into. All of children have got a choice. We do not choose who our families are, but
Yeah.
especially around this time where there is families congregate and meet up and have dinners and lunches and stuff, especially when children are exposed to abuse in particular families.
Yeah.
What what would you say with regards to that?
So toxicity within the home. Um, Sometimes there's not much that can be done in the moment. Um, it really depends on if a child comes and discloses things that are happening in the home. Unless a child discloses information, more than likely we wouldn't know what was happening. We
Mm,
can speculate. We can speculate and saying, "Oh my gosh, I can only imagine what's happening in that home for 2 weeks." Um, the best thing,
excuse me.
uh, the best thing to do would just to be to coach that child through normalcy, teaching them that what's happening is not normal. It's not okay. A child of your age should not be exposed to certain things, and let them know that there are places that will be available to support the family. Oftentimes, when this happens, a social worker will be involved at the school level. The school social worker would connect with the parent and offer resources. And in Canada, the social work system is not about taking children away anymore. They're about education, they're about support and guidance for parents that are not well equipped, because there is no handbook about how to become a parent or how to parent. So the support will come from several networks, and it would be generally through the social worker or myself to offer resources to the family, to get some support to bring some normalcy for that family. So um, we may not be able to help right now, as there's the 2 weeks is going on, unless a child reaches out to us directly and says, "This is what's happening in my home." We would have to wait until they return after the holiday, right? Um, and we tend to teach strategies within the school. So myself, I go in and I teach strategies to the students of how to cope with different things that they're going through. Um, and sometimes it takes longer for others to grasp onto those strategies because they may not be mature enough to deal with it, right?
Very, very interesting. Yes. And before we go on, if you're enjoying this program and our topics, remember to like and subscribe and comment. Okay, so we can keep the conversation going. Sometimes we at not at a blank, we do have a lot to add, but some when viewers add perspective own perspectives, it makes it more rich and value added, right? So
Yeah.
remember to like and subscribe to the program, and of course go on to the Youth Effect page and follow follow. All right. So thank you again. One of the things you mentioned is the social worker and the resources. What about islands like our home islands, the Caribbean, where there is not that diverse availability of resources that they can go to? What
Hmm.
what are some of the things that they can do?
Hmm. So essentially, you want to look for a support network, right? Yeah. Sometimes we, unfortunately, us as a people, we are our own detriment to ourselves. Like we cause things sometimes upon ourselves because we don't want to speak about what's happening in our homes. We look inward and we blame ourselves for things that are happening, and we are afraid to let people know because we've been taught whatever happens in the home stays in the home. We're not supposed to be going out there telling people our business because that's none of their business, right? Drink water and mind your business. That's not how it's supposed to be. If you want to make change and bring about change, you need to speak up. Speak up and speak out. You're going to find a trusted friend or caring adult that you can speak to about the things that are happening in your home and get the help that you need. Um, whether you're in the islands or you're in North America, is always a support network. Um, in some situations, there may be a platform, not platform, but an area where you can meet up, a network of women that talk about things, like bring it back to old school. Like, okay, these women are going to meet on a weekly basis and we're going to talk about the things that are going on in our homes, and we're going to share how we manage these things in our home, right?
And one, oh, sorry, go
Go
ahead.
ahead. Yeah.
No, I'm saying one of the things I also speak about too is if something doesn't exist, you have it within you to create it, to start it. It might, with new things, there's also a level of fear because we're afraid of criticism and we do not know how
Yeah.
to do this. But the
Yeah.
amount of experience that each of us have within us,
Yes.
we do not give ourselves the credit. And when you bring other people on board who you trust,
Mm-hmm.
which is the basis of it, the foundation of a group like this,
Yeah.
um, start with one other person, start with
Yeah.
two people.
Yeah.
So you, because I mean, the Bible says where two or more are gathered in my name, there I am
Mhm.
also.
Right.
So, join, network, join,
Mhm.
create your village. to
Yes.
support yourself and to support your children. And in the interest of time, we're down to 9:22.
Yes.
Sometimes I wish I went on to 2 hours, but
Mhm.
because the conversations can be so interesting. Let me just ask, what are some of the self-care um, skills that you would encourage for young people as well as adults to to participate in, that can help reduce that level of mental health stress and anxiety and things like that?
Mhm. Mhm. So some things that can be done are simple as I said before, like taking a walk, just stepping away from reality for a minute or two. Take a walk. Um, do something that you love to do, right? Maybe watch TV, maybe listen to music, maybe dance. On the weekend or during the week, it doesn't matter. You can do these things that cost no money to anyone, to be mindful of your own mental health and wellness. Um, things like just even joining a group of people like we just spoke about that have are like-minded, right? And doing things together. Sometimes there's people that may meet up and they might want to put puzzles together, or they might want to put they might make products together. So I'm going to use an example of something that you can do on your own as an adult or even as a teenager. Like just go to your kitchen cupboard and something as simple as a facial scrub or a body scrub that you can make. You're using brown sugar, you're using olive oil, and maybe a little fragrance, and you're mixing that together, and 3 4 ingredients, and you have your own facial scrub, lip scrub, body scrub, and you're exfoliating yourself and you're feeling like, oh my gosh, I went to the spa, right? But you didn't spend that much money. I do make products, so that's how I know it's so simple to do
Mhm,
and to
mhm.
make your own thing and make yourself feel nice and feel good about yourself, right?
Or creating rituals and routines for yourself. I have, well, a whole facial thing I do
Yeah.
in the evenings, and I can take 20 to 45 minutes. Um, and then I go sit down and I do my meditations and stuff like that. You create a
Mhm.
routine, you
Right.
create a space for yourself, a space for your children, because you cannot give what you do not have,
Yeah.
as well as the children. And children look upon us, they live as they look, they live as they learn as they live. Sometimes correct me on that, but children live as they learn what they
Right.
see.
Right.
So we grew up in a period where they say, "Don't do as I say, don't do as I
Don't
say."
do as I don't do
Let's
as
put it.
do as I
Do
say,
as
not
I
as I
say,
do.
not as I do. But children will subconsciously take what you do. That is
Yes.
where the learning comes in.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so if a child sees you place value on self-care,
Yeah.
it's
That's
going to be naturally in them in terms
mhm.
of learning how to say no, in setting boundaries, in learning how to communicate, in learning how to say, I am sorry. And
Mhm.
remember, saying sorry means change behavior. Don't come
Mhm.
tomorrow and say, I'm sorry again,
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
know? So self care is about tuning into us, into what you need,
Mhm.
alone time. And when a child doesn't want to talk, it's okay. We like to force them. You need to say, no, not
Mhm.
every time we need to talk. We
Mhm.
need we need to
Be
regurgitate what
internal.
has happened
Yeah.
to us during the day, as well. And we have to go internal. We have to go within ourselves and be reflective, and children do
Mhm.
that too. Creativity as well. There are so many, as you mentioned, do DIY projects. Make
Yes.
space for what nourishes you. And if you're struggling during the holidays with your mental health, reach out to a trusted friend, a trusted adult, a counselor, or a hotline. You
Yeah.
know, you don't have to go through it alone. We are not islands. We need
Right.
to prioritize our mental health. What's one thing you like to share for our young listeners before we go? One thing, I like to say three things.
One thing, just one thing is you're not, as Kathy just said, you're never alone. Never think that you're on your own doing this. You always have someone that you can turn to confide in, right? Just seek out that person, and you will see that there's always someone that you can turn to talk to about what you're going through. Never think that you're alone. Yeah,
Yes, never
yeah.
think you're alone. Your worth isn't tied to how perfect your holiday is.
Mhm.
Nobody's family is perfect.
Yeah.
Nobody, and whether it's you or your mother alone, that's your family. That's a
Hmm.
family. I just before we go, I want to bring up something. I mean, I was going through a separation and a divorce, and one time in the Catholic school my daughters went to, they have this thing where parents come in to talk.
Hmm.
So my ex-husband and I both came in on the day to speak about what we do for our daughter. We're being
Hmm.
supportive. And then the other children in her class said, "Oh, your mom and dad look so good," and whatever, whatever. And she said, "My mom and dad are not together." And that just changed the whole dynamic where they started telling her that, well, you do not have a family.
Mm.
Well, being the person I am, I went into the school. I am sorry, nobody bullying my child. Teachers and children and the principals. Some people used to believe I was a teacher because I am in that school
Right,
every single minute, you
right,
know, and I had to approach the teacher to make a correction and bring it up to the children because, as parents, you do not want to approach children, right?
right.
And as well because of the there's this family thing that is taught in the schools. I had to ask the teacher, you have to have a session, a class on what family is,
Hmm.
because sometimes people are afraid to separate even though there is toxicity in a family.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
a happy parent, a peaceful parent,
Hmm.
can teach a child so much more than living in a toxic home. They're not going to be thankful to us
Hmm.
staying in a toxic environment, but teaching that there are different types of family and your family is perfect just the way it is. And that is
Right.
one of the things that is exhorted during the holidays to what kind of family structure that
Hmm.
you have. Be thankful for the family God has given you. Be thankful that you're placed within a supportive network. See what it is that you have and be grateful.
Yeah.
Last week, I was having a conversation with a long-time friend in terms of long relationships. And one of the things she spoke about is journaling. I had a bad
Mm.
experience with journaling, so I stopped journaling every day. I used to be an avid journal person. I used to do right.
Yeah.
But now I focus on gratefulness journaling, where at the end
Okay.
of the day, or sometimes during the day, I say three things I'm grateful for, three things I'm thankful for. And that
Hmm.
makes us also put things in perspective. So for our mental health, for those of us who are going through this during this holiday season, we can, take breaks from social media, prioritize your sleep and nutrition, connect with nature, go in the garden, put your hands in the soil, go on the grass, take out your shoes,
Yeah.
connect with the ground, hug a tree,
Hmm.
listen to the birds, connect,
Hmm.
connect, and
Yeah.
engage in activities that bring us joy.
Right.
You know, what are three things now you would say to the adults listening to us?
Three things. Wow. Three things I would say would be to be willing to learn. Um, don't be afraid to try new things. I guess that would be similar. Um, but and the last one would be to connect with your child. Connect with your child on the lowest level and the highest level. Just connect with them. Have those conversations, right? Know who your
And
child
don't be
is.
afraid whether you're perfect or not. A start is a start.
Yes.
There is no
Yeah.
beginning, no end or middle. A start is a start. Even if it's just to cuddle or just connect in time or just put down the phone and listen, eye
Yes.
contact with your child
Yeah.
during a conversation.
Hmm.
There is this quote. by Maya Angelou. I'd like to share. It says, do the best you can until you know better. Then when you know better, do better. Tonight, Joel has shared quite a bit of value adding tips to our toolkit as with parenting and taking care of our children and what it is that we have to do with them. And I know we're running a little bit over time, but I just want to share one of the things I mentioned earlier, and it goes back with what Joel shared about connecting with your children. And the best way to understand your children and how to connect with them is understanding what their love language is. You know, Gary Chapman, the author of the Five Love Languages, mentioned that, sorry, in order to reach people, anybody, whether it's adults too, we have to understand where the vulnerability lies and what it is they do. For me, it's touch and quality time. I have no one. And some of
Yeah.
them they overlap as well.
Right.
We have little bits, but what is the main thing? You need to understand, observe your child, and know your child. So the
Right.
five love languages are words of affirmation, where it's a lot of verbal expressions of love and appreciation. There is quality time, which you are spending quality time together. It's not quantity. Sometimes 5 minutes is better than 5 hours where you are each on all a device, and 5 minutes of total concentrated attention to your child is awesome. There are some people who are receiving gifts. You know if that's your gift if you like to give gifts. There's another one in terms of acts of service. There are people always busy around doing things in terms of helping and stuff, showing love through helpful actions and physical touch. I love physical touch. So I have three. Expressing love through physical contact. So understand what your child is. And if you cannot remember what I said, go look it up. It's the five love languages, and observe your children and do a little more in-depth study of this, how you can reach out and communicate with your children. So remember what Jewel said, as well as how you can contact her. And so we're just going to go a little bit again. Joel, go about a little bit about what your Minds in Motion show will be and when it will be again.
So Minds in Motion is going to be starting in January, this January coming. It's going to be every Wednesday from 7 p.m. to 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on TDN, the same network that you're on. So I'm going to be talking about connecting with your children. I'm going to be offering some great tips, free tips. Tune in, and also ask your questions because I'm willing to answer them. Yeah.
Awesome. I'm looking forward to tuning in and listening to that, because none of us are perfect parents and we can always learn something new. So I appreciate you. I thank you so much for spending that time with me and with the audience who's out there. Thank you so much, audience, for spending that time with us. We appreciate you. We appreciate you spending the extra 6 minutes with us.
Thank you.
I know for some places it's 10:30. So I want to say thank you so much. We appreciate you again. We love you. And remember to send your comments at the Youth Effect 767@gmail.com, or you can also send some posts on the Youth Effect Facebook page, or you can always DM me and Kathy Robinson Peter. All right. So thank you once again. My dog is saying good night.
Time to get up the air.
We back with another one for the youths in them. Yeah, young, brilliant minds, future in sight. Got the power to make change, make the world ignite. Let nobody say you can't achieve. Your dreams are seeds, sow and just watch them grow. But you gotta believe in the youth effect. We're raising up the youth effect. Can't hold us down. The youth effect, we breaking ground. The youth effect, they gonna hear us roar. Educate, we get the key, unlock the potential. A lesson every day, knowledge essential. Standing tall, walking proud, let your voice be heard. Unite together as one, spread the love with every word. The youth effect, we're raising up. The youth effect, can't hold crossroads. Educate, we get the key, unlock the potential. A lesson